Rockets win Game 6, 115-107 in San Francisco. They deserved to win. They were the better team. They played harder. They played smarter. They had a better strategy. Rockets had a better plan. They just look like the better team right now. The Warriors, they ended up kind of mailing in Game 5 in Houston, thinking that, well, we can get them in Game 6. Well, that didn't happen when the Warriors got to a very slow start, and the Rockets outplayed them, outscored them in the first, second, and fourth quarter, and you can't even look at the box score. You can't. It's not an accurate picture of what happened, as you were halfway through the fourth quarter and the Warriors had scored 5 points. They couldn't score in the fourth quarter. 5 points in the fourth quarter. And you see, I'm pulling for the Warriors. I root for the Warriors. We do Warriors videos. I give the credit to the Rockets. They were so much better than the Warriors for the second straight game. And they win and do what they needed to force a Game 7. And they're feeling very confident going into Game 7. And the two players you really have to credit and highlight are the veterans. Van Vliet, 7 of 13, 6 of 9 from 3, 9 of 9 from the free throw line. Only 2 turnovers, 29 points. Steven Adams, a plus 15 on the bench. Yes, a lot came from free throws, but 17 points, 5 rebounds, 3 blocks. And they got enough from the young players. Amen Thompson, he may not have scored a lot, but it's that defensive presence, 3 steals, he had 7 rebounds, 14 points. And his passing's really improved in this series. And he opened up opportunities for others. Dylan Brooks had a very quiet night, only 3 points. Şengün, 21 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists. I mean, he missed a lot of shots, too. I mean, he could have easily had 30 points. A solid game from him. Jabari Smith, he's had a lot of good looks, but he's delivered, unlike players for the Warriors. 19 minutes, we had 8 points. 8 points. Jalen Green, he did enough. 12 points. But he's had his ups and downs in this series. The Warriors, on the other hand, it was really came down to Jimmy Butler and Stephen Curry. And the Rockets are smart. They know that they can double them. They can move and shift their defensive alignments and zones to attack them because there's no fear of anyone else hurting you. I mean, a major difference here that we're seeing is the quality of shots that the Rockets have. The Rockets can get easier buckets. They can go inside. They can finish with their bigs. When Van Vliet is being doubled, he can pass it in when Curry can't. You can't rely on anyone from the Warriors to finish with any consistency. And if we're being honest, the Warriors look tired. They look worn out. They're an old team, and you're expecting this core to do something that no other team has done. We've seen some older teams. Take the Celtics from 2010. You know, they got to the finals, but they weren't this old. Curry's 35, or excuse me, Curry's 37, Draymond's 35, and Butler's 35. An overdependence on these players. And you look at those Celtics, Kevin Garnett was 34, Ray Allen was 35, Paul Pierce 33. But they also had Rondo, who was the primary ball handler for them. I mean, they also had Rasheed Wallace, sure. But can I also say about that team, they weren't quite as old as this team, but those were. I mean, you're talking about Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce. Those are 3 Hall of Fame players. Like, no doubt, lock Hall of Fame players. Curry and Draymond will be Hall of Famers. Jimmy Butler, maybe. But the fact is, Curry has the banged up hand. Jimmy Butler, I don't know how healthy he is with the injury. And Draymond physically is not the same here. To expect your best player at age 37 to get it done, let's be honest, it's probably asking far too much from him, at this point. And you look at the rest of the team. I mean, I just did not like some of the long-term decisions the Warriors made here with the roster and the player development. Steve Kerr is a great head coach. He was ranked, I was reading this Bleacher Report article today, he was ranked the 5th greatest coach in NBA history. Maybe that's a little too high. I don't know, but he has solidified his spot as an all-time great NBA coach. He has his strengths, he has his weaknesses, but developing young players is them. Being stubborn, too stubborn at times, is a weakness, and I believe it's come back to bite him in this series. And I didn't like the starting lineup. Just start there. Did not like the starting lineup with Buddy Hield in there. But let's just go through some of the stats. Draymond, 8 points, 3 blocks, 4 turnovers, 5 rebounds. He's only having 5 rebounds. You're probably going to lose that game, considering he's your primary big. 7 assists. Jimmy Butler, he kept them in the game. He was clearly the best Warrior. He had 14 free throw attempts, keeping them in the game with getting to the line, which is refreshing. 7 of 17, only 1 of 6 from 3. He almost had a triple-double himself. 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 27 points. On the other side, Vliet almost had a triple-double. A guy who's only 6 foot tall almost had a triple-double. Here's my problem. Buddy Hield, 0 for 4 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3. When he's in there and he's not hitting his threes, he's giving you nothing. You're getting nothing from out there. At best, average defender. He doesn't give you anything with rebounding. He doesn't give you any size. He doesn't give you ball handling. He doesn't make his teammates better. What does he do for you? I don't know. He's out there. He's a body. Gary Payton, I'm not getting on Gary Payton. I mean, you're asking someone who's 6'3" at times to play power forward. Looney's just not the same player. He's not the physical Looney that he was, the versatile defender he was, the great rebounder. He's not who he was 3 years ago in the finals run. Trayce Jackson-Davis, they failed to develop him, and he could have actually been really helpful for him, but just to throw him in this series at this point, it doesn't do any good. Santos, I would have liked to see Santos get a little more time. He didn't. Post, let's face it, he's the stretch 5, but the Warriors need more than a stretch 5 out center. They need someone who plays physically, and he's a soft 3-point shooting 7-footer. I mean, I like him, but face it, when he's trying to get close to the basket and finish, or just any 2-point shot, anything within 3, he looks uncomfortable. He really does. And I need more from a center, and hopefully, he can develop more in the off season. Some of these you know, other aspects of the game. Moody, I want more Moody. I would have started Moody or Podziemski over Hield. But Kerr's mismanaged Moody as well, just shifting him in and out of the starting lineup throughout the season, not really committing to him. That's been a problem. And Podziemski, I think some of the pressure in some ways has gotten to him, but they're better when he's out there. He reminds me a lot of ways of Austin Reeves. Played very well in the second half of the season when he got to play. But, you see the 3-point percentages go down for almost everybody in the playoffs, and I really like him. He's not the problem with the Warriors. If anything, he's an overachiever, but he gives you so much effort. And I want him out there instead, him or Moody instead of Hield. But this is a stat. When I look at Curry, and I don't want to get on Curry too much, but he forced a lot of threes. I feel like there was hero ball. He had 2 assists, 5 turnovers. 2 assists, 5 turnovers. You can't have that. More than twice as many turnovers and assists from your point guard. Times he was sloppy, like I said, forced things, didn't set his feet with threes. Just threes that are just too far out. And he makes some of them which are amazing. But sometimes also, if those don't go through, it really hurts. Because they don't have the rebounding to get, unlike the Rockets, the second chance shots. And I just see when you're watching the Rockets, they get such easier baskets than the Warriors. Close to the rim, uncontested threes, when the Warriors have to work so hard for everything. A lack of energy, they're worn out, some of it's lethargic, not having the same intensity. There's so many things that are wrong with this team, and one of them is the commitment to being small. And I call ASAP by choice, as small as possible for the Warriors. And Steve Kerr. And Steve Kerr was on the Bulls teams, the championships, the second dynasty, and they were a big team. Ron Harper was the point guard, 6'6". Michael Jordan, 6'6". Scottie Pippen, like a long 6'7". Dennis Rodman was one of the greatest pound-for-pound, maybe the greatest pound-for-pound rebounder in NBA history. At 6'7". And then you said Luke Longley at 7'2", even though he didn't give you as much as you should get from a 7'2 center. But nonetheless, Luke Longley was 7'2 center. And then they had Kukoc, who was pushing almost 7 feet coming off the bench. They're a big team. And then, of course, after that, he's with the Spurs, the Twin Towers, Robinson and Duncan. The Warriors were ahead of the game when, way ahead, light years ahead of the game, when they were playing small ball and they could shoot the three better than anybody else, but they didn't play small the entire game. They picked their points. They were very strategic. You can't overdo it. And when they're small all the time, it doesn't work. And now it's a big man's game. You just go through the West, and you saw the Lakers have the same problem. As long term, they got the better deal, obviously, out of the Luka for Anthony Davis trade. But in some ways, as great as LeBron and Luka are, their skill sets and their size, although their style's different, their athleticism, I'm sure, is different. In some ways, their skill sets are a bit redundant. But not having any center killed them. And they couldn't even get to 6 games. Gobert had a 20-20 game on them. Gobert, Reed, Randall. Yeah, they were worn out. And what also bit them was, and I said this when Luka got traded, that's great and all. You have all the offense you want. But you have no defense. When you lost Anthony Davis, you didn't have a rim protector. You lost easy baskets. And they didn't have any perimeter defenders either. And the Warriors don't have enough perimeter defenders. And when Kuminga can't even see the court, if you developed Moody more, if you developed Kuminga, if you developed Trayce Jackson-Davis, you didn't give up and abandon these guys. And I never believed for a moment that Kuminga was sick in the previous game. I didn't. Maybe you would have more of a fighting chance long term. But I'll stick to what I've said, that when the Warriors traded for Butler, I said the furthest they get is round 2. That's it. They're only going to get to the second round. And they may not even get to that because they're running out of gas. Here, just in the first round, they had to fight so hard just to get to this point, just to get in, winning the play-in. But all around the league, especially in the West, big teams. Big teams. This team, the Rockets, Şengün, and Adams. You look at the Game 7 tomorrow between the Nuggets and the Clippers. Jokic is already one of the greatest centers of all time, but he also has Gordon and he has Porter. The Clippers can match up with them because they have Zubats. They have Zubats, they have Harden, and then they have Kawhi. And what's very interesting about this is with Kawhi and Harden, I compare them to Curry and Butler is, why does it work better for them? It works better for them. Well, for one thing, Harden's a year younger than Curry. And Kawhi, I think, is 2 years younger than Jimmy. But when those guys get doubled, they have someone like Norman Powell. You leave Norman Powell open, he'll hurt you. The Warriors don't have anyone that can consistently hurt you from 3 or drive the basket. And they also have Zubats. I mean, Zubats is a legitimate 7-foot center who can finish, who will get fouled, who will protect the rim. Everything the Warriors don't have. They have size. And then obviously the Thunder at Hartenstein, and then they have Chet Holmgren. And if you advance to the East, and let's just say you were to get to the final, so you have to go through those teams. Oh, and I didn't even mention the Timberwolves with Randall, Gobert, and Reed. But in the East, it's always a question if Porzingis is healthy. But they have Horford. They have other players, the Celtics. And then the Cavs, they have Allen and Mobley. They're huge. You're not beating those teams with this ultra small lineup. I mean, the Warriors they're behind the times. They are really behind the times. Could they win a Game 7? Sure. It could happen. Maybe Butler all of a sudden will look a little fresher and a little healthier. Curry could have a monster game where he has 10 threes. But the difference right now is, Van Vliet is hitting those threes and he's heated up while Curry has cooled down, and obviously the Rockets can put far more attention on Curry than the Warriors can on Van Vliet. The Rockets haven't finished out a series. That's the first time, too. But I think it's very, very unlikely that this happens because the Rockets, for every reason, they should be very confident. You know, Udoka's teams will play great defense. They're tough. They have the home court. And the Warriors just look so tired. You know, the best comparisons I could come up with for teams getting deep that were older was that Celtics team. But again, they weren't this old. And they had more depth than this Warriors team. And then I'm just thinking about Karl Malone and Gary Payton with the Lakers, but then you still had Kobe in his prime and Shaq near the end of his prime, even though they got to the finals and they got destroyed by the Pistons. That's all I got. So there's no reason to think the Warriors are going to do it. Okay, you can get past the Rockets. You're not beating the Timberwolves. Their size and Anthony Edwards? No. Not happening. And I will always say, regardless of what the outcome will be in Game 7, be thankful. It has been an incredible run. 6 finals appearances, 4 championships. Who would have ever thought that this would have happened for the Warriors? The Warriors were just a laughing stock. Growing up, talked to people, and they, in some ways, they didn't even know the Warriors even existed. We have a Bay Area team? Seriously, we have a Bay Area team here? NBA team? Yeah, it's not the Lakers. The Lakers aren't the closest team, basketball team. No, there's the Golden State Warriors. Now to be a franchise like this. And sure, yeah, you want to win as much as you can. Who doesn't? But you have to be realistic about these things. And it's been one of the greatest dynasty runs in the history of the sport. So we'll have a Game 7. We'll see what happens. I disagree with a lot of the coaching decisions. I mean, your best player struggling. I mean, Curry, he's not a perfect player. Talk about his passing when he gets double teamed, the sloppy passes, the times even he playing hero ball and just shooting threes that are too far away and forcing plays and they're just not getting enough from the others. So you got this Game 7, you've got the Game 7 Clippers and Nuggets. I'm leaning Nuggets, but it's so close. It's so close. It can go either way. It's just a shame that one of those two teams is going to get eliminated this early, because I was watching the quality of play in that series compared to this series. I'm sitting there saying, man, both of those teams, the Clippers and the Nuggets, are better than the Warriors and Rockets. One of those teams is going to go home. And in the East, you got a already very intriguing Celtics-Knicks series. Because I'm jealous. I like to see these teams. Size does matter in the NBA. It always has. Warriors at times have found ways to win without it. But that's not the way it is right now. They've been the exception to the rule. So Game 7s. 2 Game 7s in the West.